Hi everyone, it's Sinead. I am in Carney. I'm dressed up nice and warm. I am headed on an amazing adventure with my mom. Ladies and gents, I am standing at the foot of the stunning glacial pass of the Gap of Dunloe. Today we're going to drive through two particular mountains of the Purple Mountain and the MacGillycuddy Reeks. More on that to come in a moment, but right now where I am, I'm standing in front of the world famous Carney's Cottage. Now this is at the foot of the Gap of Dunloe, and Carney was known for her poutine making. Let me turn you around now so you can get a better visual. So our first stop, just before we take our journey in the car through the mountain pass, you guys, is Carney's Cottage. Now Carney was a famous beauty in Ireland around the time of the famine, known for her beauty far and wide. But this little barn restaurant now, which serves amazing food and has great traditional music, and comes where the hikers that come through this mountain pass will always end up in here after 5 hours of trekking through the mountains for a nice well-deserved pint of Guinness and a traditional hot Irish food. But she was known for her famous shebeen. Now shebeen is like an illegal pub during the famine times, and what she was most famous for, this famous Irish beauty Carney, was her poutine, ladies and gents. Her poutine, which we spoke about in our Christmas video along the South Bank, was so potent you had to dilute one shot of poutine with 7 times water just to dilute it and to make it available for consumption. But she was known all over the world, and of course it was illegal, but it was the drink of choice, made originally from potatoes. This is Carney's. Now we are going to have a little drive through one of the most stunning landscapes in the entire of Ireland. Now people come far and wide. Now what people actually usually do is a Gap of Dunloe tour, and you can do an organised bus tour which includes a pony trek through where we're going today, and then you will take a boat from Lord Brandon's cottage, which will bring you back to Ross Castle. Now there's an incredible company here in Killarney called Deros Tours, D-E-R-O-S, which organise these day trips through the Gap of Dunloe and up here and around to Carney's. Now the whole day itself would take a good 7 hours, but it's an amazing journey on a boat through the 3 lakes of Killarney, and you take a pony and trap or a jaunting car right through this mountain pass. And this, today, on a very windy day, is where we're headed, ladies and gents. Now just bear with me. A very popular walk, but the problem with this walk is if you do decide to walk it up here through the mountain pass, you do have to come back again through the Gap of Dunloe. So it's exceptionally breezy today, but you would be walking right through the mountain pass, and that's where we're going to be headed very shortly. Now it is a public road, so you can drive through it. I always recommend you do it in the off season or very early in the morning, because it will be full of jaunting cars and hikers and cyclists. But let's show you some of the highlights of driving through the Gap of Dunloe. Stay tuned, you guys. You are going to be blown away by the breathtaking scenery. So this, ladies and gents, is where we're going to set off on our journey. Now I'm filming inside the car. Mum is here beside me doing a great job. Say hello, Mum.
Hello everybody, lovely, happy new year to you all.
I'll put Mum on camera later on, but she's just saying hello to everyone at the moment, but she's doing the great honour with it. We're having our day out essentially of coming through the mountain pass. Now I have to put my seatbelt on, sorry. Now, so this is our little day out, you guys. A lot of twists and turns. There's another car on top of us already. It's a very narrow drive, but Mum is a great driver, so I'm fully confident in her. Let's head up through the mountain pass. So I'll be right with you in a moment when we get right into the middle of this stunning Gap of Dunloe. Okay, so today's weather isn't entirely great, but it is Ireland, so we have got a gap between the lashing rain. But where we're headed is right between two stunning mountain ranges. One is the MacGillycuddy Reeks and the other is the Purple Mountain. Now, created naturally about 25,000 years ago during the last ice age here in Ireland. A glacier situated in the Black Valley, estimated to be over 500 meters deep and part of the Templeoe ice cap, slowly pushed its way northwards, forming this amazing scenery, ladies and gents, and this gap coming up here in the mountains. So that's where you're getting all the rugged edge from along the side here of the mountains. And I will get out in just a moment, but look at that little bridge above, and we're just trying to capture it along the way. The northward this glacier moved, which eventually resulted in this carved out U-shaped valley. And look, the amazing scenery, ladies and gents. So I'm going to jump out. There's a car coming up ahead of us here. So you see it's quite a narrow road, but it is a public road. Now, it's not encouraged if you aren't confident driving in Ireland to drive through the gap, but Mum is local, we're all local, so we've done this all our lives. What the interesting part of the wilderness here, it is so remote. The Black Valley, ladies and gents, where we're headed to when we're heading towards Lord Brandon's cottage, was the last place in Ireland to get electricity. I believe it was around the 1980s, was it, Mum? It was 70s or the 80s, I think. It was as late as the 1980s, I believe, was the last place to actually have electricity. Look at this stunning wilderness, ladies and gents. It's been a long time. So, as I mentioned earlier on, if you were taking a designated day trip in Ireland and here in Killarney on the Gap of Dunloe, you would take a pony and trap, or you would ride horseback right through here, through the gap. And that would take you all the way up to Lord Brandon's cottage, which we'll see later on is in the Black Valley. And from there, you would be picked up by boat and you would be taken through to every lake in Carney. I'm just jumping out so I can show you the scenery. 1 second. Now, you guys, I just want to do a full panoramic here on the main road to show you exactly where we are. I mean, it doesn't get much more beautiful or more remote than this. And you would head straight through the main road. Now, the main road has been developed amazingly. I mean, tarmacked, and it's a much better road than it used to be. But years ago, people used to travel through the gap here by horse and carriage and by foot. And people lived here in these stunning cottages that we're going to see. And I believe there's one of them right at the foot of the mountain. We'll be seeing it later on, where you can rent on Airbnb. Now, you would make sure that you need your supplies because there is no shops in the area, even though there is a community that live still within the gap of this amazing terrain and stunning glacial 25,000 years ago valley carved out by the last ice age and the last glacier that came through this area. So this is what's ahead of you when you walk through the gap, ladies and gents. I'm having a little stroll here. Mum is behind me in the car. It is a rather windy day, so I just hope to God it doesn't affect the audio. But if it does, we can always do a much nicer voiceover. But look at this, and look where we are. Now, you can only imagine what it would be like on a clear day. I mean, it's not too bad now. There's been a break in the weather, but that's Ireland. It's always a hurricane here. Now, let's take you up to this gorgeous part of rugged landscape. So what we're going to have to do is stop and start along the way. So this is part of my highlights of Killarney trip, folks. Some of you will be familiar with my other Killarney videos. There's a Killarney Part 1 and a Killarney Part 2, but there's so much to see here. It would be impossible to get it all in one day. Now look over here. Isn't that breathtaking? Okay, it's getting super windy. I'm going to jump back in the car and we'll make our way back up to through the most scenic part, right at the top, through this valley, straight ahead, you guys. Now as we're passing here, you'll see some residences of farmers in the area. Sheep farming is quite common in the area, and you'll have all the sheep are branded there individually with their own colours. You'll see blue and red, so the farmer can identify his sheep if they go wandering. So can you imagine living in this beautiful remote area? I mean, some of these families have been here for centuries, so it's not like property is available here. It's part of the national park now, so it is protected. There are 32,000 acres of national park in Killarney, and it truly is the vacation destination. It's like the Lake District of the United Kingdom and Ireland. Everybody comes from all over to visit the amazing sights here. So we truly are blessed, but I suppose you get a bit complacent about how beautiful the area is when you live here, but it's when you leave that you're reminded how fabulous the area truly is. So people actually living along here. I think that's a little school in there. So you do have families that live right down here in the middle of this stunning gap in the mountains. I wonder how you'd all feel about driving through here, folks. Not very confident, I'd say, some people.
Oh, it's very good.
The roads are good, yeah, Mum, yeah. The roads are very good. As Mum said, they've done a good job on the roads through here. But years ago, I mean, it was used by pony and trap and walking. Well, it still is, yeah. The jaunting cars are still here for tourist purposes. Now, look at these, some of these old farmhouses, remnants of old farmhouses that would have been here during the famine as well. Folks, isn't that amazing? We still have some of the old ruins and relics, and we'll see them along the way as well. And back in here onto the main road through the gap again. This is actually, looks like it's only being built, you guys. Brand new house. Who got permission to build here, I wonder? How amazing, your tiny little cottage at the end of the gap. Wow. Idyllic. Not for everybody, but I'd love a nice little trip there. And that long and winding road is where we're headed, folks. Right through and up the top between these two mountains, the Purple Mountain and the MacGillycuddy Reeks. And this is exactly why we're here. Do you see that stunning winding road there, folks? That's where we're headed. I mean, doesn't nature sometimes absolutely take your breath away? This stunning, stunning location. People come from all over the world to walk through and pony and trap and horseback ride through this incredible scenery right on our doorsteps here in Carney. So straight ahead, the natural consequence of an ice age and a glacier that came in this direction 25,000 years ago. Isn't it just breathtaking? Much more to come. Wait till we get to the heart of it, folks. And look at that little residence in the left-hand corner. I mean, how jealous would you be? And that's the right job. You come through here in a motorbike. I'll walk through. Is that up your street, folks, cycling through? Expert driving there on behalf of the guy in the van. I assure you folks, any PayPals or tips I receive on this one will be going to my mom for a brandy. She'll be delighted. My brother's in the back laughing there, enjoying it. Road trip with the familia today, folks, in Ireland. God, that's narrow. Now we're getting to the crux of it, folks. Stunning terrain. Ooh. Now that sign says welcome to the Black Valley, ladies and gents. So this is one of the last places in the entire of Ireland to be wired up for electricity. And it was as late, I believe, as the 1980s. I'm going to have a drive through the Black Valley now. Now we've two signs here, ladies and gents, for Hillcrest Farmhouse Bed and Breakfast, if you fancy staying a night here. And you have the Shamrock Farmhouse Accommodation, Black Valley Community Alert, and we're heading back towards Killarney. And I believe this is down here as well. Look at the views in front of us, folks. Look at the lakes. Isn't that breathtaking? Well done, Mum, you're doing great. She doesn't want to talk, ladies and gents. My brother's laughing. Through the gap, Mikes, yeah. It's a tough drive. I mean, you want to be a confident driver.
Perfect.
You have no Mom, you have no problem driving through it.
I enjoy it.
I'm getting a bit nervous myself now. Go easy. Ooh, here we go. That's all right. That's all right. Now, you know me, folks. I can never pass a Catholic church or any church of any kind. But let's just have a look here. Look at the idyllic setting of this gorgeous little local church here, right in the middle of the Black Valley. Our Lady of the Valley, 1955, Nevmura an Cú of Dúf. Let's have a look over here and see what this megalith is saying to us. In appreciation of the late Canon P.J. Sears, who is responsible for the building of this church, from the grateful people of the Black Valley. AD 1955, ladies and gents. Now let's just get a little view around the back and see. Now, has there ever been a church more ideally situated or in more idyllic surroundings? Look at this. This is the back of the church. Oh, wow. Had to walk you around here. Look at that, folks. I wonder, is it open? Will we be able to say a little prayer? I wonder. Look at the little church spire and the bell. Isn't that adorable? It's situated. Let's just see if I can go inside very briefly. Just get a little look. I'm hoping it's open. No, it's closed, you guys. Not to worry. But there's the cross of St. Bridget above the door. How beautiful is that? Our Lady of the Valley, consecrated in 1955. Just so as you know, this is a road sign here for warning for the school crossings. So the school will be coming up shortly, in case any gridlock traffic came through here. Lovely little community, and here is the local school by the looks of things. Isn't it gorgeous? Tiny little school in the Black Valley. can actually drive at 80 kilometers per hour around here. That's mental. That's the limit, speed limit in this area. Parts of 50, are they? Mike, you're having a great time there in the back. People. Okay. That's a traffic jam in Killarney. Total gridlock, ladies and gents. So this we're coming on right now is Lord Brandon's Cottage, and that then is where you would pick up your boats in the upper lake, taking you through the upper lake, middle lake, and your final destination would be the lower lake at Rosscastle, featured on a previous Killarney tour. That lovely little bridge there. That's where you'd be getting Joaquin Lord Brandon, and this is where you could get some refreshments halfway through and a nice bit of lunch straight down that path. But we're going to reverse and make our way back towards Kenmare. So if you were taking the Gap of Dunloe tour, folks, you would have been taking horse and pony or horse and trap, or you would have been horseback riding right through where we've come. Then you'll head down here to Brandon's Cottage, where you'd have a lovely bite to eat. Usually group tours are probably the best to take. Again, I would recommend Daryl's Tours in Killarney, and we'll post a link in the description below to their website for all your tour needs when you're in Kerry. And then the boats will pick you up in the upper lake, take you through the meeting of the waters, through the middle lake and down to Rosscastle. And for future reference, Rosscastle I've already covered on a Killarney tour, so we will put a link to the other two Killarney tours in the description as well. And that full day trip will incorporate horse and ponies or horse and traps, horse riding, a boat trip through the three lakes of Killarney and through the meeting of the waters, and then back on the coach at Rosscastle, which is right in Killarney town. But we're continuing on our journey towards Killarney, but you can head towards Kenmare in that direction. So we're going to head past Lord Brandon's cottage and the upper lake. And there you have the cottage through the trees, you guys. And this beautiful pathway over the river, taking you straight up through the lakes and back up to Roscastle and Killarney town. So it's a nice trip. It's a long day. It's roughly about 6 to 7 hours, but it's all part of Killarney National Park.